Check some 2, 1, 2, and check 1, 2. Check some 2, 1, 2.
As an official
Thank you very much, Calabash Band. Ladies and gentlemen, please let's give the Calabash Band a round of applause. Welcome, and once again, a very tonight. We do apologize first of all for the confusion. So just tell them to come back and so that we can start this process. So that said, before we get to the business end, I'd like to invite us all to basically self-service, of course, to basically stand up and get ourselves something to eat. And indeed, because we are gentlemen with indeed doing the same thing. Now, me being a Kenyan, I'm used to one thing. When I say ladies, I mean anyone who wears a bra, there shall be a problem. So ladies, please, and ladies. right? Like I can see table 13, lucky number 13 is very relaxed. Tena hakuna haraka.
Midst of us.
I know, really good. It's like
question. We welcome you. Bonjour. Welcome and give all of you a round of applause. Please give yourselves a round of applause, Mabiba and Mabana. Very well done. They're wondering, all right, so what are we celebrating? Climate change indeed is a very, very important, critical aspect of society today. Only contributes 3% to global warming. Those things. The question is asked, do us, the onus is upon journalists to inform. About now, a movement, an involvement that involves 45 African countries and nominated and all the winners. I notice, of course, at my French only goes so far. So to see there are a few people from Nigeria. Where are the Nigerians, by the way? What about Nigeria? Very well done. To the Kenyans, let's give Nigeria a round of applause there. Well done, Nigeria, by the way. Good job. We're talking about Harambee. It's okay, it's just one. Bado tuko pamo. In Kenya tunasema kusema na kutelea. Now, it is of course, I hope it will change and environment reporting awards gala night. Of course, right here at the Pan-Africa Hotel. And before we get to the bread and butter of actually celebrating and awarding and rewarding the journalists from our continent of Africa who have basically been outstanding in the past 12 months in terms of reporting on environmental issues. You know, what is this process all about? Where are we from? Where are we today? And where do we plan to be in the next 12 months? We all know that from a global perspective, the seriousness, which is a body that has been hosted in Kenya at Gigiri since the 70s. It has now got to the stage where it has been elevated to a full agency at the level of, you know, Geneva and indeed New York. So that said, we know what environment and how serious from a global perspective this is. And indeed, when you talk about environmental issues, the Kenyans in the room, and of course all of you, because we report on environmental issues, we know that in I think 2004, when it came to winning a Peace Prize, she was a professor, it was of her vocation, and the first Kenyan, and I think the Kenyan who will get this prize, she will hold that record for a while. Unfortunately, she passed on. The late Professor Wangari Maathai won the Nobel Peace Prize strictly for enhancing, celebrating, and advocating environmental issues on a global perspective. So let's give her a round of applause for basically putting that on a global level. And as Kenya celebrates, you know, its jubilee, we also have a new administration in place. And the environment has been put on the top shelf. It is something that the new administration, courtesy of course of His Excellency, President Uhuru Kenyatta, they have said this is something that they're going to take very seriously. For the Kenyan journalists in the room, you will agree that the last substantive minister to really talk about it and take it very seriously was the late John Njoroge Gichuki. That said, Brand Kenya has decided that when you put all of that in perspective, Kenya 50 years, new regime, Wangari Maathai, how about we celebrate that in line with the fact that the UNEP is now also here and it's been, you know, put to that first level, first tier. How about we get together with this particular initiative and basically tell the world and tell fellow Kenyans that environment is critical. So just to tell you a little bit more about that, she is basically the international brand manager at the Brand Kenya board. She doesn't really want to say much, and I've actually hijacked her, and she has no idea that she's speaking first, by the way. So I'd like to call upon Jackie Muhati to please come and say a word or two. Where's Jackie? Let's give Jackie a round of applause. Your microphone, ini yangu, hiyo ni yako.
Distinguished ambassadors and the representatives of all diplomatic missions, the UNEP Regional Director, journalists who participated in the competition culminating to this all-important event, the judges who enabled us to be able to have the finalists and eventually the winners of this event, our guests, honorable members of parliament who are here, ladies and gentlemen, good evening. Habari zenu? Bonjour. I'm also trying to learn some French because Africa is becoming diverse. And mine is to wish you, on my behalf and on behalf of the Pan-African Climate Justice Alliance, welcome all participants from across Africa to this first ever Africa Climate Change and Environmental Reporting Award Gala Night. And as I've said, Jaboni, Karibuni, and welcome to Kenya and Nairobi, the city in the sun. This event wouldn't have come at a better time than now, especially when the issue of climate change and environmental reporting is gaining attention at the global level. Further, just as a matter of introduction for those who are hearing about it today, we are a coalition of African civil society from across Africa who are brought together by a common goal of advocating for climate-friendly and equity-based sustainable development and the integration of climate change into national poverty reduction and the sustainable development across our countries and at global level. We are represented in 45 countries in Africa with a growing membership of around now 500 organizations representing farmers, faith-based organizations, national coalitions, regional networks of sector-based organizations, and I believe we are the most representative coalition of organizations working on climate change presently in Africa. We collaborate like the ones which we are doing now, and we also encourage strategic alliance with our partners, governments, regional bodies like UNEP here, as well as individuals. We have invited some of you individually to ensure that our voice is amplified at international climate processes and development processes. We work with like-minded people at local and international level to highlight what the Master of Ceremony has said is the biggest challenge and the biggest problem which is afflicting Africa currently. As you know, Africa is really negatively impacted by climate change. Floods, famine, food shortages are pounding the vulnerable continent, which lacks the resources to protect itself, and the women and children are the most vulnerable, without mentioning peoples with disabilities and others who find themselves into difficulties. National economies, livelihood, and social well-being across Africa are getting distorted as communities' vulnerability to climate change becomes obvious and can no longer be ignored. And climate change will have, of course, an impact on humans, ecosystems, and economic activities across the continent. The problem is that funding and technologies assistance to build resilience and support adaptation are required, and so are the appropriate institutional infrastructure to help facilitate this. And the problem is that we don't have this in Africa. Africa, and more specifically the Sub-Saharan Africa, is the region that has contributed the least to the global accumulation of greenhouse gas emissions. But it is the most vulnerable to the impacts of climate change. Estimates of the cost of climate change action in developing countries vary widely, but this cost will extend into billions. It is estimated that the cost of Africa's adaptation to climate change will be in excess of $18 billion a year by 2030. And because I'm a Kenyan, I can say that actually for us this is even not exceptional. And if you recall, PACJA for the last few months or a few years have been trying to bring the voices of the people together. And we have seen journalists are the most important agents or messengers in this regard. We have held trainings for journalists in trying to see how we can shape the narrative of Africa in terms of climate change. And to us, this is a demonstration of our commitment to our strategic plan to building the capacity of African journalists and communication officers for best professional practices and better reporting of climate narrative on issues of climate change and environment. And so, the African Climate Change and Environmental Reporting Awards could be such an initiative. Climate change is a major challenge, but due to the global profile the subject has gained, we can use it as a rallying point to reclaim Africa's space and leadership at international level. ESA awards seek to catalyze increased African media attention to climate change and environment and build a new culture and consciousness on how we utilize biological resources on our environment and reduce our carbon footprint. Journalists and media can be important vehicles to transform the society. There is, however, very minimal reporting of climate change and environmental issues by African media and journalists, and if they report, such reports are shaped on foreign narratives. Mostly, stories are picked from news agencies such as, of course, I'm not against Associated Press, Reuters, Zinua, CNN, and BBC. And when we were sharing with our journalists, we were told that, well, we send our stories, and when we send, actually it is distorted. What we get is not what we send. And so the question is, do we have our media so that we inform them and they are able to say, no, this is not the way we want to report the way we want. And so, informed and engaged citizens can change and ultimately push their leaders to take action and to be accountable. Media certainly plays a fundamentally important role in this engagement, yet those from Africa have been overlooked. There is evident disconnect between the actors in environment and sustainable development in Africa on the one hand and media on the other. There has been disquiet on the way African media report environmental issues, with supporters lamenting that they are framed on foreign narrative. Seeking to correct this perception, ESA is one of the efforts driven by stakeholders to encourage the African narrative on climate change and environment. In launching the annual awards to motivate journalists to report on their own context, the PACJA, our partners, and of course many have been mentioned, will have contributed to the African Sustainable Development Dialogue, both at national and at international level. And the ESA awards will no doubt inspire journalists and media houses to continue providing information and empower the general public to understand the role of climate change, changing environment, and the livelihoods. The awards seeks to germinate ideas and acknowledge society that may appropriately participate in climate change policy processes, and reshape how we respond to climate change in addition to how we utilize environmental resources and address the reduction of our ever-growing carbon footprint. The awards will provide an incentive mechanism to bring to light what works best at the grassroots, county, the national level, continental levels, in how we shape and build policy and practice, and how we can move the threshold of intervention from popular approaches to innovation. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of ourselves, BACJA, and all our partners, I wish in advance to congratulate the ESA Award winners. I don't know the finalists, which I know, and all who participated in the submission of their entries during the call, and without forgetting the able team of Barack Muluka, which was able really to come up with the list which we are celebrating today. I thank you all, and God bless you, and welcome.
Indeed. He is the Secretary General. That's a city in China. Mithika. Kusweti nayo. Ile meza ambayo yuko huko. Don't share that one bottle of water. Just order. Safi. Who without indeed their able support and contribution, this whole culmination of this event not involved, not only because of Wangari Maathai and what she did for the environment and highlighting those issues, but the mere fact that the new regime or administration in Kenya, brand manager for Brand Kenya, and I made that mistake of...
CEO Mary Kimonyo was supposed to be here, but unfortunately she couldn't make it, and I therefore have to represent her. I don't have much to say, but I'll try and quickly put in perspective why this is important for Brand Kenya. As the cradle of mankind, Kenya is rich in natural resources. However, over the years, we are all aware that some of this have been eroded in the form of reduced forest cover, among other things. The good news, as Kwach has put it, is the government has taken note of this, and it's one of the issues that they fully understand and know that we need to protect the environment in the bigger concept of global climate change. There's need and opportunity for economic growth to go hand in hand with protecting our environment. And as some of you are aware, our biggest economic earners, that is tourism and agriculture, heavily rely on protection and preservation of our environment. And that is why Brand Kenya Board considers such initiatives as important as, we consider such initiatives important because measuring and reporting the impacts will obviously have a direct impact on policy direction. It will hopefully encourage good business practice by the private sector and generally create more awareness on the need to preserve the environment. This reporting has become critical in shaping not only the perceptions of the image of Africa globally, but Kenya in general. And it allows us to demonstrate to the world that we are putting stopgaps to monitor ourselves and taking corrective action to, of course, take care of what we have destroyed. They give the African journalists in the room a platform to tell the African story in our own words. And that demonstrates the tailored solutions that we are creating as a continent to address those economical challenges, those environmental challenges. And to that effect, we have our nominees to thank in highlighting the stories, be it through print, digital, or audio media. Of importance to mention is the fact that Africa still largely lags behind in digital assets. So the more content we have online, the more we create our digital assets that are globally accessible to show the world what it is we are doing. And as Kwach also mentioned, we are very proud to host the UNEP offices, and it's a great opportunity as we turn 50 to take stock and understand the environmental challenges that we have faced and indeed begin to accelerate solutions that will hopefully help us to shape the policies that we create in future for the future, so we create for the future generation. I'll probably try and leave it there. For those who are visiting Kenya for the first time, we'd like to say Karibu Sana. We hope so far you've enjoyed our natural resources and you're marveled by them. And in conclusion, I'd actually like to thank PACJA for choosing Nairobi to host this inaugural awards. I'm sure wherever Professor Mathai is, she's probably really proud of the fact that her efforts are beginning to bear fruit. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for coming to visit the Cradle of Mankind, and welcome to the land of your grandfathers. Thank you.
Just to basically be a representative of and being one of our partners, she is the First Secretary and Senior Programs Manager at the Embassy of Sweden, of course, right here in Nairobi. I'd like to call upon Ms. Maria Vink to basically come up and basically give us a word or two. Let's give a warm round of applause in terms of Karibuni. Welcome, Maria.
Thank you, and very good to see so many people here tonight celebrating this award. I'm very honored to represent the Swedish Embassy here today and representing Sweden and the donor community for this award ceremony. Climate change is, as you know, a serious issue. So we have, although this is a celebration, I will talk a bit about the seriousness of climate change. But starting, I think we all know that there are some defining challenges of this century. And I would say that is managing climate change and also overcoming world poverty. And the Swedish Development Corporation and the Swedish government have recognized this and identified environment and climate change as one out of 3 priorities of the Swedish Development Corporation. So climate change is one, and the other 2 are gender equality, and the third one is democracy and human rights. And as a member of the EU, we recognize the alarming needs to address climate change and to take our responsibility in the climate change agenda. So during COP16 meeting in Copenhagen 2009, the Swedish government decided to set aside a special fund for climate change adaptation in developing countries. Through this climate initiative, $600 million US dollars was earmarked for projects on climate change from the period 2009 to 2012. The Swedish support to PACJA is a result of this special initiative. We support PACJA for a 4-year program, 2012 to 2016, with about 20 million Swedish crowns, that's about $3 million, for a project that is titled Capacity Building for Effective Civil Society Organization, Coordination and Engagement on International Climate Change Dialogue Process. That's a long title. But we support this to facilitate the African civil society to have a fairness and justice in international climate change dialogue and to give Africa a voice while safeguarding that Africa's rights to sustainable development. So as you know, climate change is a global problem and it requires global solutions, but it is also a local phenomenon, and interventions need to cope with climate change impacts require stakeholders, civil society, media, private sector, and other partners to work on climate change impact on the ground. And the media, and particularly journalists, play a key role in influencing personal, national, and international actions to address climate change. Interactions between climate science, policy, media, and public are complex and dynamic. It is clear that science and policy shapes media reporting and public understanding. However, it's also true that journalism and public concern shape ongoing climate change policy and decision and activities. So we really believe that you journalists here today, you have a very important role in contributing to the understanding of climate change and influencing. And there is a story saying, I haven't tried it, so I don't know if it's true, but it says, if you put a frog in boiling water, it jumps out. But if you put a frog in cold water and slowly heat the water, it doesn't realize it gets hot, so it stays until it dies. And I think this really signifies what we see with climate change. It's a slow process, it's a disaster coming, but sometimes media doesn't report about it because it's not an immediate disaster, and the human brain has a difficulty in grasping slow changes. So we have to remind media and encourage them to report on these kind of changes and the impact this has in Africa. Today is World Environment Day, and we have a theme this year, Think, Eat, Save, that is the theme for the year. And it's an anti-food waste and food loss campaign, encouraging us to reduce our carbon footprint. And I think maybe a colleague from UNEP will speak more about this theme later, I will just presume. But we know that 1.3 billion tons of food is wasted each year. And at the same time, we know that this is the same amount produced in the whole of sub-Saharan Africa, and also in Africa for at the same time. 1 in every 7 people in the world go to bed hungry, and more than 20,000 children under the age of 5 die daily from hunger. So we also see that the global food production occupies 25% of all habitable land and is responsible for 70% of freshwater consumption, 80% of deforestation, and 30% of greenhouse gas emission. So it is the largest single driver of biodiversity loss and land use change. As we all mark this day, it's our hope that the media and journalists will highlight these issues of linkage between food waste and climate change, with an aim of changing the culture and socio-economic behavior of the society. Thank you.
Indeed. We do have in Kenya, of course, a new constitution that was basically promulgated in August 2010. And the major implementation stage of that said constitution started with the swearing in of this fourth administration of the Republic. But when it comes to implementation, of course, it starts with legislation. So in light of that, I would like to invite an honorable member of parliament who is basically in the committee that involves the Parliamentary Network on Renewable Energy and indeed climate change. Is one who has been there for a while. He knows the ropes. Let us give a warm welcome to the Honorable Dr. Wilbur Otichilo, MP. Karibu sana. Welcome very much, sir. Indeed.
Thank you very much. This is a very interesting evening, and I don't intend to say much except to celebrate with those who are going to get these very special awards. Before I say a few remarks, I've come with colleagues from Parliament who are very serious about renewable energy and climate change and its impact in this country and at a global level. And I would like you to allow me to have them come here and you see them so that you know they are very serious people in Parliament. We don't only spend all the time talking about salaries. but there are people who spend time thinking about the welfare of this continent and of this planet. My colleagues, please, just come and introduce yourself, then have a seat. Let's start with the Reginata.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. My name is Dr. Reginalda Wanyonyi. I'm a member of Parliament representing Bungoma County, and I'm pleased to be here this evening. I'm excited partly because before I joined or I came to Parliament, I have been a lecturer at Moi University teaching environmental studies, and so I'm so happy to be in this particular forum. One thing that I can say, I want to congratulate the members of the Fourth Estate and those who are going to receive these awards. Believe me, we in Africa, we are lucky that even when we talk of climate change, we happen to have an environment that is not so polluted. And one key thing is that we must protect it. We must guard it with all the jealousy that it requires for the sake of the future generations that come. Once more, I applaud you. Thank you.
Mheshimiwa, naomba ukae hapo, naomba usimame hapo. Naomba usimame hapo kidogo so that we see all of you. Yes.
Good evening. My name is Honorable Francis Chachuganya. I'm a member of Parliament for Norfolk, and I'm an expert on environmental issues. And just 2 weeks ago, I passed a motion in Parliament to curb poaching by introducing very punitive measures and penalties so that we save our jungles in this country.
Good evening. My name is Honorable Andrew Toboso, Member of Parliament, Butere constituency, Kakamega County. 2 words. One, to congratulate the organizers of this event for the noble path they have taken to save our planet. My colleague has just talked about the bill on poaching. I also need to tell you that while he moved the motion, I was actually the second of that motion. And like you're aware, there is a motion in the pipeline on climate change, which the 4 of us are championing, and very soon it will be on the floor of the Parliament, and I can tell you this time, we shall push it until it becomes an act of Parliament.
Give the 4 members the Honorable House.
So I would like to tell the journalists who are here and the entire media fraternity, look at Parliament from a positive perspective. With people in this country who've got the actual mahitaji, as we say it, of wananchi in their heart, and we have some of those guys. And I can tell you, working with us as parliamentarians, the entire legislative process that you like to see through some of these things going, we are the people who will make it happen. So we are your friends. Let's work with you. Let's make it happen. Thank you very much.
Give them a round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. Now, Mheshimiwa, please, let us pause there for a second. And we're going to pause on Pakja for just 1 minute from the program because...
Well, tonight is a special night.
Oh!
And it's a night we are not going to engage in politics.
Me, I'm not engaging in politics. Me, I'm getting pesa. 800,000, 500,000.
That will be decided by the Parliamentary Service Commission and the Sarah Serem Commission.
Oh, by Sarah Serem Commission. Wapigie makofi basi mabibi na mama. You 3 have been saved by the bell. You can sit down. Mheshimiwa Tichilo, proceed, sir.
Thank you very much. I would like to be very brief. First and foremost, I want to thank the organizers of this event. This is a very rare and very important event. And given that it's an event where we are rewarding some of our eminent journalists who are able to report on a very difficult subject of climate change and environment. unlike most journalists who report what politicians say and they normally report it verbatim, what we actually say. So I want to say this is a very rare occasion, and I want in advance to congratulate those who are going to receive the awards. We are very anxious to see who those are. All what I want to tell them is that we in Parliament, we are ready and willing to work with you to promote and create awareness on the impact of climate change on our socio-economic development of this country, of our continent, and on of the entire planet. I want to congratulate you for what you are doing. This is a very difficult subject, and you as journalists, I believe you can simplify the difficulties of this subject and make our local wananchi be able to understand the impact of climate change on their lives. On our part, as Parliamentary Network on Renewable Energy and Climate Change, we would like to work with you, and our main concern is to promote awareness on climate change in this country and in the entire continent. We are also linking up with various parliaments in Africa so that we can work as a team to promote and create awareness on this very, very important subject. Most of you who may recall, in 2009, we were able to bring all African parliamentarians from all over Africa to Nairobi, and we came up with one Africa, one position paper, which we presented in Copenhagen during the COP16. And I want to thank PACCHA and all the civil societies who are able to support that initiative. Finally, as you heard from my colleagues, our issue or our main concern is to come up with a policy and legal framework to govern the issues related to climate change. And we are currently fine-tuning a climate change bill which was prepared in the last Parliament, but for some technical reasons it was not ascended to by the President, and now we are looking at this bill again, and we shall be engaging the Minister of Environment and Natural Resources so that this bill can be fast-tracked and be made into law. And we believe this is going to be realized before the end of this year. So Kenya is going to be one of the first countries in Africa to have a law on climate change. So that's all what I want to say for now, and I want to thank all the organizers, and we are very expectant to see who are going to be the winners of these awards. Thank you very much.
And I've got to appreciate early on, and of course when you talk about the environment, UNEP based out in Gigiri has been within our borders of Kenya since the 70s. Early this year, of course, the United Nations, which obviously represents all countries on our planet Earth, decided that when you talk about the environment and the importance that it has, let us now take UNEP, let us take Gigiri, and let's put it on the same level as Geneva, which has, of course, the World Health Organization. She is indeed is the Deputy Director for UNEP in Africa. Let us give a very, very warm welcome to Desta Beratu. Desta.
Thank you very much, Mr. Moderator. Before I go into my opening remark, I just want to inform you that I'm under a heavy medication because I was diagnosed for a kidney stone this afternoon. So I decided to come to this event believing that this is a very important event which we shouldn't miss. And I will try to be as brief as possible in my remarks. First of all, I would like to thank the Pan-African Climate Justice Alliance and the partners who joined the Alliance in organizing this important event. And secondly, I would like to join the moderator in paying tribute to Professor Wangari Maathai and Honorable Michiki, who are still inspiring people to act on environmental issues. Every year, UNEP decides on a specific theme for the World Environment Day based on the scientific data and knowledge we have and identifying some core areas for global deliberation, reflection, and action. And this year we have the theme of Think, Eat, and Save. I hope you are thinking when you are eating, and you'll be prepared to save. Just to give you a brief background how we came with this theme. In 2008, UNEP undertook a study to identify the most critical sectors that are mainly contributing to climate change and resource depletion also. And the top three sectors that came up were number 1, food, number 2, building, and number 3, mobility, transportation. This cannot be surprising because all these three elements are very much related to our day-to-day life, and they involve a relatively long value and supply chain where various actors are engaged in it. So as it was indicated earlier by Ms. Maria Vink, the issue of food loss and food waste is a major issue that needs to be addressed at all levels, starting from the household to the national level. That is why this year's World Environment Day theme was decided to focus on these three mottos. Essentially, we could save for up to 10 to 20% of food waste, which after ending in our table will be thrown away as a waste. Of course, this could vary from one country to another country, depending on the level of economic development and the consumption culture also. So there is significant contribution that could be made by each of us on how we purchase, prepare, and consume our food at the individual level. So this year's theme is about individual action at the household level, which can go up to the national level through different mechanisms. Why are we talking about climate change, resource depletion, and so on? As some of you may already know, recently, just a few weeks back, the global carbon dioxide emission level has gone beyond the 400 parts per million, which was considered to be the threshold level for having irreversible impacts on our day-to-day life. So the time is running out in terms of acting. And that is why UNEP and its partners are pushing global community to consolidate their action in addressing this major global challenge. As it was noted, Africa may not be the main contributor, but as the African economy develops and our lifestyle changes, our contribution is expected to grow. On the other hand, we have the possibility to promote our development, improve our lifestyle on a more sustainable basis. So there is a lot that could be done in the African context And Africa has a lot of opportunity in terms of making sure that the impact of climate change will not be as significant as it could be. Coming to the specific focus of tonight's event. When we talk about climate change, resource efficiency, green economy, we believe that the technologies and the knowledge that we need at various areas are already here. They are available. What is lacking is the innovation we need to have at the society level. So the technological innovation that is moving forward need to be coupled with social innovation, which has to happen at all levels of the society, not limited to few experts or few institutions. The farmers we have in the village have the capacity to be innovators. So in order to enhance social innovation and benefit from the existing technologies and knowledge to the maximum possibility, we need to have a change of mindset. That's where the role of journalists and media become very, very critical. As you are the conduit for passing over information and knowledge, putting it in the local context so that it could be understandable and actionable by everyone in the society, we believe journalists have a significant role to play. And you are the major actors in this process. And all journalists participated in this competition, and those who have won need to be proud to be part of this process, because this is a transformational kind of process in which you are making your own contribution by preparing the society and the country. So I'm very, very glad to be here in this important event, and I would like to congratulate the winners and recognize the competitors also as champions of sustainable development and environmental sustainability. Finally, I'm very pleased to see such a commitment from our honorable members of Parliament, because Parliament has also a very critical role in terms of providing the broader context for all actions to be taken by private sector, civil society, and the society at large. And your leadership through the Parliament is a key part of the transition we are trying to achieve. And we are very pleased by your level of commitment, and will be very happy to work with your committee and support your effort in whatever we can. Finally, I would like to congratulate once again the winners, and let us be change agents, because we need to change. This change is of global proportion, and all of us has a role to play, and I hope this event will inspire more additional journalists, media personalities, and activists to be part of this important process. Thank you very much.
We arrive at our winners and our nominees. Of course, we are talking about the fourth estate. We have spoken about the environment. So I'd like to call up on stage, as journalists and members of the fourth estate, a gentleman who, when it comes to peers in the business, some say he has no match. He has worked with the more established media houses, not only in the region, but indeed in the country as well. I personally say there's no one who can hold a yardstick to him. So to tell us about this whole process of how we got from nominees to the winners, let us give a very, very warm welcome to our Chief Judge, Tetelo himself, Bonabarak Muluka, please.
Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I want to recognize in a very special way the organizers of this event who are our hosts this evening. the Pan-African Climate Justice Alliance. I want to recognize also the distinguished members of Parliament, led by my very good friend and neighbor, Honorable Wilbur Otichiro. Thank you very much for bringing your colleagues who are with us here this evening, members of the diplomatic corps, and of course to recognize on behalf of the judges the UNEP team, members of the Fourth Estate here assembled tonight, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. Good evening. My task is basically to lead the judges in unfurling the winners of the first ever Pan-African Environmental Journalists Award, for which we are gathered here. Allow me, however, to begin by thanking the organizers of the event for the confidence and trust that they have bestowed upon us by giving us the opportunity to go through well upwards of 100 different entries in radio, TV, and in the print media, and to be able to unfurl the winners tonight. Allow me to introduce those who worked with me very tirelessly. Mr. Isaiah Esipisu. Let's put our hands together for him, please. Mr. Duncan Mboya. Mr. Ocheng Ogodo. Madame Angela Lowe. I think she's not been able to join us. I haven't seen her this evening, but she did put in very sterling effort, and we are thankful to her wherever she may be. And then there was, of course, Crispus Yanken. And last but not least, yours truly. So our task was to sift through, as we have said, some 112 journalistic works from diverse parts of Africa, focusing on the environment and especially on climate change. We were tasked with establishing how such works have helped or could help in addressing the vexed problem of the environment and climate change in Africa, and how journalism can help to reverse the phenomenon of climate change. We received entries, as we have noted, from diverse parts of the continent, and this we could only tell from the content, for we did not know who the entrants were. Everything was clearly coded and concealed and presented to us to interact with, as it were, incognito. And overall, the judges were satisfied that the works were good, although we were unanimously of the view that a lot more could have been done. In our task, we looked for both form and content. We wanted to find work that showed clear understanding of the fundamental issues on the discourse on environment and climate change, and with specific reference to how this impacts upon the African condition. We wanted especially to see the environment change, therefore, in Africa, and what the people of Africa can do about it, or what they are indeed doing about it. We looked for policy issues and for interventions, as reflected in the various journalistic works that were presented to us. Besides, we wanted to see how well sourced and authentic the productions were. How did the journalists use authorities? How did they break down and simplify technical issues to render them easy for understanding? How well did the journalist keep his or her audience in mind and stay with them from the start to the end? What was the likelihood that someone having interacted with this communication was bound to be friendlier to the environment after the encounter with those various productions? Style was of importance too. How interesting was the work? Had journalistic devices and props been employed in a manner that would help the production to capture and sustain interest without descending to lowly and sensational usage? We looked at things like length, good command of the language used, relevant use of enduring examples and analogies, the picture words and sound effects, especially for radio, good camera control for TV, balance between presenter, narrative, and footage, as well as sound control and balance. We also concerned ourselves about ethics, common decency, and good form, among other concerns. The judges have already given the organizers feedback on the planning and organization of the competition. We will not therefore go into that area. However, permit me to single out just one thing. The judges strongly advise PAGJA, UNEP, and other partners to explore the possibility of working with the media fraternity in Africa to train journalists in environmental journalism, and conversely, to equip environmentalists to also take up journalism. The judges believe that a hybrid of the two will do a lot of good to our environment. That, ladies and gentlemen, ends my brief report, and we can now start unraveling the winners and presenting them to the forum.
Indeed. Sorry.
Yes, carry on.
Indeed. So,
Winners up position in the broadcast category, quite unique. It was an idea that made for an interesting piece, well covered. It was a feature through which the journalist tells of a community radio station that has turned out to be the lifeline of a community, out to conserve the environment and feed itself through agriculture despite climate change. The judges noted that the scripting prowess was outstanding, laced with simplified scientific jargon and common people's language. The inserts were well transcribed with excellent use of sources and authorities. And that goes to Adudomfe Coffee of Ghana. The production was titled Community Radio Tackles Climate Change. Let's give him a loud applause.
So there is a certificate there of recognition. And the winner, please, let us hold the certificate up, pose camera, smile. The camera is over there. Amobele. Indeed. Tashkuru. A very, very big round of applause. Very well done. No. Maria and Bwana Kamau. Imagine we're not done. So still presenting in the next category of second runners-up, electronic media. Chair.
Thank you. It's second runners-up in the print media. Slight correction. A crisp and punchy feature that was on challenges of torrential floods. Let the cat out of the bag. A crisp and punchy feature on the challenges of torrential floods in Matabeleland, and elsewhere in Zimbabwe, a problem that is gaining significant importance in Africa and indeed elsewhere in the world due to climate change. The production, or rather the piece, brought alive the torrential impacts of environmental change to families, communities, and economies. It was rendered in a simple, crisp, and laconic language. I think this is Isaiah Sipisu's intervention there. The writer demonstrated good understanding of the relationship between floods and climate change. Credible sourcing and a variety of voices lent the story more credence. Policy gaps were captured with clear indications on what could be done about the challenge, both in the short term and in the long term. And ladies and gentlemen, I invite us to put our hands together for Mwadalito Mwando of Zimbabwe.
Let us give him a very, very big round of applause now. Bwana Mwadalito Mwando from Zimbabwe. As the chairman has said, he's the author of an article entitled Rural Zimbabwe Struggle to Cope with Flooding. Now he gets a tablet and $400 US. Give him a round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. And if you're wondering what our first winner, the second runner-up in the broadcast category, Bwana Kofi from Ghana won, he basically, remember, he was the community radio tackles climate change. He got a tablet and $400 US as well. So as they presented their awards by Bwana Kamau and indeed Ms. Vic, let's give them a very, very big round of applause indeed. Asante sana. Yes, you feel happy with that photograph? Thank you very much.
Production on coping with climate change. In this feature, the journalist highlights the innovative mechanisms adopted by residents of a certain local community to turn around the lives in the wake of scorching heat on a dry, rocky island that is unable to support much agricultural activity. The piece was well done from the beginning, showing a very clear and catchy introduction, tight scripting, and overall creative engagement with the exercise at hand and with the audience. The task employed the use of various production elements in radio, actualities, scientific jargon that were reduced to be simple to tell the story, leaving the listener with mental pictures, literally taking the audience with themselves to the scene. The journalist was also able to bring out the story in an interesting manner and captured the subject well, incorporating essential authorities and sources into this effort and thus making the feature authentic. And I invite us now to kindly put our hands together to the first runners up in the broadcast media category, Pius Sawa of Kenya.
Let us give Pius Sawa a very, very big round of applause. And as the chairman has said, he is basically the author of the article. It's called Coping with Climate Change, And Pius not only gets himself a certificate of recognition, he also gets himself not a new iPad, the new iPad, Luo style, my brother, and $800 US. Pius, you sure? Pius, so get close to Mheshimiwa Pius. Let's hold up the certificate, please, Pius, as you shake Mheshimiwa's hand. Alafu naomba tuangalie kamera Pius tafadhali hapo mbele. Pius huko juu. Mheshimiwa, naomba umlete pande tafadhali kidogo. I'll see you. Hapo. Let's give Pius a very, very big round of applause. Congratulations to you. Very, very well done. Indeed. Chairman Muluka, please.
Thank you very much, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. The first runners-up in the Print Media Award category is a piece that captures activities of a particular community in its strive to eke out a livelihood out of seaweed farming and the attendant frustrations owing to climate change. It was a simple, readable, and engaging piece. The story explains clearly what climate change is and what it can do to a people's livelihood, using the example of seaweed farmers in Zanzibar. The writer simplified a very complex subject to the level of common, indeed universal understanding. There was good use of examples and backing up of facts to achieve authenticity. The writer allowed people to speak through him, and the story was peppered with balanced statistics to bring alive the challenges brought about by climate change as well as the economic importance of seaweed. As Mheshimiwa walks back, ladies and gentlemen, I invite us to celebrate warming seas frustrate Zanzibar seaweed farmers with Dunstan Kaunda of Tanzania.
All the way from the sister republic of the People's Republic of Tanzania. Mabibi na mabwana, tushukuru Bwana Dunstan Kaunda. And he was the author of the article entitled, as the chairman said, Warming Seas Frustrate Zanzibar Seaweed Farmers. He is the first runners-up in the print or media category. He gets himself a new iPad and of course $800 US. And if you want to know a little bit about Dunstan, of course there's a screen at the end of the room, which is of course to the chairman's right, and you can see is basically about the article, I think, over there. So Dunstan, tunashukuru sana. He gets himself a certificate. Mheshimiwa is going to present it to Mheshimiwa. He is basically going to present the certificate. Mheshimiwa, naomba tukuje tukaribia hapa mbele katikati tafadhali. Dunstan certificate. Hapo. Alafu tutazame mbele tafadhali. iPad. Dunstan, nataka cash ama unataka check? Cash, eh? Sawa, taangalia kamera huko mbele. Tunashukuru. Sorry, Chairman, just to interrupt you, please. And now he opened up this evening's proceedings. He is the Secretary General of PACCHA. So can we...
MC, ladies and gentlemen, for the winning entry in the broadcast media category. Having carefully considered all the entries in this category, the judges were unanimous that this journalist should be crowned the overall winner in the broadcast category. Through the production titled Collecting Polythene Bags for Tree Seedling, the journalist tells the story of a man's mission to make good use of the bags that otherwise would be disaster or a nightmare to the environment. The bags are used instead to turn around the environment in an environment-friendly manner, that they are being employed for seedlings, which then produce future trees. The story talks about 1 month's mission, as we have said, to collect polythene bags and put them to proper use. The reporter highlights the various challenges that the Lone Crusader encounters in his missions, and the economic value that accrues out of that in the short term for him and in the long term for society. The scripting was excellent and well written for the ear, conscious of the fact that radio is a visually challenged media. The impact of this mission to the environment is massive, owing to the effects of polythene bags in the environment. Ladies and gentlemen, I invite us to put our hands together for Peter Labeja of Uganda.
Ladies and gentlemen, Madame and Monsieur, this is a gentleman who not only will he win himself $1,000 US, he will basically be entitled, of course, as a journalist, and we're celebrating journalists, to go and represent the journalists of the continent at COP19 later on this year, and I'm told it's in November in Poland. Indeed, that will be the UN conference. Let us give from Uganda, Peter Labeja, a very, very big round of applause. Well done. And as the chairman has said, these articles basically in the broadcast category, collecting polythene bags for tree seedlings. There's Peter's profile up there on the screens. And what Amanda is giving him his certificate, indeed, of recognition. Peter, smile, my brother, smile. Indeed. Asante sana. Congratulations to you, Sebo. Let's give Peter a round of applause, please, one more time. Yeah.
Come to the overall winner, in the print media category. Example of complementary environmental journalism. It shows how a community can employ live radio not only for monitoring the daily weather challenges, but also to do something about the environment and climate change. And remember, we are talking about print media, covering broadcast media. The subject was managed with professional poise and competence from the start to the end. This writer transports you to the environment where all this is happening. You find yourself not just reading the piece, but also virtually listening to radio. An outstanding piece that shows a lot of promise, astutely relevant to the theme and very well sourced. Ladies and gentlemen, put our hands together for Elias Ntungwe Ngalame of Cameroon.
And indeed, as Elias comes up, I'd like to call upon Mheshimiwa Otchilo to please come and present this particular award. Asante Sana, the overall winner, as the chairman of the judging committee. What Barak Bulka said in the, is it the print category, Chair?
Print category.
It is indeed the print category. Let us give him a round of applause, and Mheshimiwa, please bring him into the light. Hey. Asante Sana. We gave him a coffee, and he wins himself, of course, $1,000 US to COP19 in Poland at the end of this year, of course, which is the World Environmental Conference. Let us give him a round of applause, all the way from Cameroon, Elias Ngalame. Congratulations, Elias. We will hold it up. Elias is looking for the $1,000. So, keep up. It's there. All right, let's look at the cameras. And Elias, if you don't know Nairobi, I'll show you how to spend that 1,000 tonight. Usijali, tuko pamoja. Kenya ni yetu.
Including Amharic, and of course in Amharic we had to get it translated. I think we have communicated in that respect. But we were not so much grant an award for the French category, and the award that won, or rather the entry that won in this category was one that took a global problem and customized and domesticated it to a very localized environment, focusing, of course, very squarely on climate change and the energy problems that do come with that. And this entry, which was within the broadcast category, was able to show alternative ways of using renewable energy from recycled bricks, waste, and helping in reducing the impact of deforestation and deforestation itself. It was a rich cocktail of a variety of concerns, including questions of degradation of the environment with polythene, and how some are using that to produce energy instead of polluting the environment. It was a well-done piece of work, showing a variety of sourcing and with a minimum of scientific jargon, and overall showing a lot of promise. And ladies and gentlemen, I want to invite you to put our hands together for Diana Ninihazwe of Burundi for the entry.
Indeed, and presenting this particular award, I hope we're still here. May I invite the Deputy Director of the UN, Desta Mebratu, to please come and present this award. Please, Desta, we ask you this, and please, let's all the way from Burundi. And I wish I could, the chair was very good at this one, but Diana Ninihazwe, now she wins herself. I can't pronounce this because it's in French. Chairman, can you try that one for me?
La marque
Hey.
de l'histoire.
Ile. That's the one. Diana Ninihazwe, and she wins herself. She's going to attend the global conference. It's COP19 in Poland. Let's give Diana a very, 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 very big round of applause, Diana. As she's presented that award by Mr. Mebratu over there. Indeed, very well. You see, now those are the best smiles of the evening. Maybe I'm just biased, for obvious reasons. But we give a coffee, please, my baby number one, and let's give them a very, very, very big round of applause. Thank you very much, Diana, Deputy Director. Thank you very much. And let's give the Chairman of the Board a very big round of applause for...
Thank you very much, Edward. Ladies and gentlemen, the judges were requested to present an overall winner across the various categories. In their wisdom, and having interacted with all the entries and having liked them very much, as we have already heard, the judges nonetheless decided to decline to present an overall winner in order to encourage the journalists to try and do a little better. They did a good job, but we were persuaded that it could have been a little better than that. And we do hope that next time, those who will be privileged to be judges will receive awards which in their wisdom they will find it necessary to present an overall winner. So this time round, we are not presenting an overall winner, but I think on behalf of the other judges that it is good for us to put our hands together for all those who go to this stage.
Much appreciated, Chairman. And that said, I would like to call upon the Chairman for emerging as a finalist in this first African Climate Change and Environmental Reporting Awards competition. The category is not specific here, but Gerald Tenua. Let's give Gerald a round of applause, please. Gerald, karibu sana. Congratulations to you, Gerald. And another winner this evening. We have 5 of these. Aye. Are you guys still hungry? Let's give Grace a round of applause. Over there, indeed. And this one is definitely a local. It's Dan Okoth. Okoth. Copy Dan. Analyst Bob Koigi. Bob Koigi, is Bob in the building? Congratulations to Bob. Bob calling you once, Bob Koigi. Give Bob a round of applause, please, ladies and gentlemen. Indeed, congratulations. Now, we are told she was a winner, I think it's either last year or the previous year, and she has been very passionate about environmental issues. I happen to know this because we happen to work together from the Nation Media Group. Let's make some noise for Pamela Asigi. Where's Pamela? Very well done. Pam. You can't be Pam. You can't be camera shy like that. What is it? It's Mama. Or to go on? Abu. Forward. Smile. Thank you. Who I'd like to recognize in was running things in government. He got out of the game. Then he ran for the...
I would like to thank all the protocols observed, our members of parliament, and my colleague, Mheshimiwa Winnie. I think she should now come. Or you want to wave? Please. We were rivals, but we are friends. And we sat together because we agreed at the campaigns when we had everybody that whoever person who wins, we are going to support. And that's why the President, His Excellency Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta, once said that we are going to work together. So whichever the position that will come, even if it is the ambassador award, we will take it because we are going to serve Kenyans. On that question, I'll say that if I could have become a deputy president today, I could have taken orphans from every 47 counties, one each, so that I go and stay with them in that house in Karen. It's so big that all people, it's so big. One thing that I wanted to say about the environment, it's only on this planet whereby we cut trees, we make paper, and then we write on that paper, let us save trees. What are we doing? So on that note, I'm going to welcome my colleague, Mheshimiwa Honorable Winnie Kaburu, to say something.
Evening. Habari yenu. That's what I used to do when I was campaigning. But today, I thank you all. I'm so excited to be here. And I'm more excited because I was one of the founders of Brand Kenya. My friend Mary should be proud because she has made it happen. We started when I was in private sector, and now I'm so happy it's one of the big brands in this country. Just tell Mary thank you. She was also my schoolmate and my college mate. So I'm proud of her and all the members of Brand Kenya. Asanteni. And also about the climate, one of the supporters, one of the champions, because I believe climate is important, the environment is important for our children and our great-grandchildren and grandchildren. So every one of us should be able to do something, whatever it is, to make sure that we breathe clean air, we plant big trees, better trees, and we live in a clean environment. Because we can have everything, if you don't have good health, then it's not necessary. You can have all the money, without good health, you are not going to enjoy life. Thank you to my friends, even those who voted me and who didn't vote, I'm still your deputy president. Thank you.
Give them a round of applause.
Ladies and gentlemen, before I go on, I'd like to call one of our midwives, the person of Lamik Ndaye from Senegal, to step forward. We really want to appreciate the work of the judges. You know, it is one thing sitting down there and criticizing, and it's another when you have to judge. So they've done a wonderful job, and PACJA cannot pay you. We will just want to show our sign of appreciation to what you have done for Africa. You've not only done it to PACJA, you've done it for yourself. So we want to appreciate you.